Another illustration of the difference between modernism and postmodernism is the difference between atheism and polytheism. Now, when I make the accusation that moderns like myself were raised atheistically, I don't necessarily mean that we were raised with the idea that there is no God. In general, modernism tried to function independently of a deity of any sort, which is why I say that modern replaced deity for nature or for mechanics or for mathematics. But when I say atheism, I mean that there is that moderns operate mechanistically without consideration of deity. And for those of us who are religious of some sort or another, we function with this bifurcation of the sacred from the secular, which means that we look at the sacred world very differently than we look at the physical world or the world of matter. So we're still functionally atheistic when it comes to dealing with the real world. So the postmodern, however, is polytheistic, which just means he believes in many forms of deity. Quite honestly, in general, I think the true postmodern, the generic postmodern, would be spiritual, meaning that he would accept the idea of a higher power, of a higher being that actually infiltrates the mechanistic universe so that it actually can change actual matter. We would say that's a form of superstition or magic, but in general, postmoderns are open to this kind of idea. Now, there is more in common between the atheist and the Christian modern than there is between the Christian modern and his postmodern child. And that seems like a whole lot to handle, but very, very practically speaking, they do not speak the same languages. In fact, the modern oftentimes gets his postmodern child or gets the postmodern wrong on many different fronts. And one of them is the whole area of compartmentalization, which, by the way, is what atheism essentially does. Atheism cuts off nature from deity, from God. And not only that, but it has to subsection creation or matter. And it subsections it sometimes wrongly, sometimes rightly, but also sometimes wrongly. Now, it's the wrong aspects of modernism. It's the stifling aspects of modernism. It's the uniform aspects of modernism that really suffocates the postmodern. And because he does not want to be in error of making the same kinds of egregious claims or decisions or affirmations about the world, and then only to realize that he truncated the world or said something wrongly about the world, he prefers to live in a world in which that's malleable. A world in which deity and different kinds of deity can actually enter into that in order to change it. Now, you have to understand, this is not a spiritual disease of the postmodern. This is the baseline of the postmodern's mindset, of his formatting. His sins for postmodern are something very different.